Thank you for knowing that. It will kill. When I was in Fortune Fire, because of my military training, we had a kill test, right, in the kill house, carcass. Now, when we did the show, there's weapons to cut up meat and carcasses and everything else. So we call it the kill test. And if it's a pass or fail, I will say it will kill. The first season, I got so excited cutting something. It felt so good. I go, it will kill. And it stuck. My accent came out. So I tried to hide it. Next time I said, it will kill you. But people remembered that. It wasn't until the third season that I actually realized this is a family show. A lot of people watch it with their families and kids. I cannot glorify the kill. So I changed it to K.E.A.L, K-E-A-L, which means it will keep everyone alive. It's a more responsible way of saying the word. Hi, I'm Doug Marcaida. I'm the creator and writer of Lineage. You also may know me as a Fortune Fire judge, a Filipino martial artist, and you can find me at Facebook under Doug Marcaida, Instagram, same thing, and TikTok. Also, for the Lineage comic book, you can look at kidheroes.es for our comic book Lineage. And now, you are watching and listening to Two Geeks Talking.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Two Geeks Talking is an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the comic, film, TV, movie, and video game industries. And of course, I'm your host, Kurt Sasso. Today's guest is someone whose life reads like a masterclass in transformation, a martial artist, edged weapons designer, a veteran, and now a storyteller. You know him as the judge on Fortune Fire, but today we are diving into the mythic and personal world that is behind the comic debut Lineage. Doug Marcaida, welcome to the show.
How are you doing, Kurt? Greetings, everyone.
Great to have you here. You know, my dad loves Fortune Fire and all that stuff, so he's like, oh my God, it's Doug. I remember him. They're like, he's awesome. He's great. And now I see you're into my world of comics, and I think that's wonderful to see. You know, you have such a wonderful career in many different fields here. But for those that don't know anything about yourself as a creative person, tell us who you are and what you're bringing to the show today.
Well, you know, I've been blessed to become a storyteller because basically what it is I celebrate my life. I'm in the late stages of my life to now what I want to do is share what made me shine. I mean, I was blessed to be able to migrate to this country, get into the military. In the military, I was a respiratory therapist, but I was always a martial artist. With that martial art world, when I left the military, I continued training and teaching and doing the yin and yang, doing the respiratory field for healing and the martial art for destruction, at least I thought at that time. But then I became a military contractor because I was getting pretty good with my weapons art, and I started designing with companies about that. Then Fortune Fire found me. They wanted to find an end user who could use the blades. With that blessing, I was able to find things about watching what was going on the show, and it inspired me to say, hey, I'm learning about using iconic weapons from history. All over the world, we have bladesmiths. And I started to listen to the different cultures and the stories and the iconic blades like Excalibur or the Sword of Mars or the Sword of Perseus. In every culture, every blade was different. And then it hit me. Every blade has a story to tell. And I go, I'm going to start telling the stories based on my expertise and my experiences with with the sword from different cultures. And then I started creating Lineage, the comic book that tells the story where every blade, this blade in particular, is telling its story.
It's beautiful. From what I've gotten to see, like the images are amazing. I think you have a wonderful story. You're definitely a storyteller. I can tell that for sure with that wonderful introduction of yourself. And you've had such a wonderful life because you worked in the entertainment industry as well for Blade and a few other films as well too. So, I mean, I have so many questions to ask you here. I almost don't know where to start here. But let's dive into Lineage itself. What is the story behind Lineage? Because it's got to be a personal story.
Yeah, it is. So the first series of Lineage, I wanted to go back to my own culture, I wanted to talk about something that I know. So I started off with the Filipino culture, where I learned my martial arts. Kali, Eskrima, Arnis are the arts that I've learned. Now, in my search for this in Southeast Asia, I also learned that in my culture, when we're talking about the knife is very spiritual. It's sacred in my country. There are so many superstitions of how the blade has a spirit living in it, or how there are magical powers that some of these blades do. It's not just limited to the Philippines, but also connected to the other arts I was doing with Southeast Asia, like Indonesia and Malaysia. So much superstition in there. And I wanted to capture that. But I wanted to relate it to something that I know. I'm known for the karambit, so that's a chosen blade for this. But there are many other blades that are part of this particular journey. Lineage one is called Brotherhood of the Blade. I wanted to put my Filipino martial art moves in there, but I also wanted to talk about my cultural roots, about family. This is a story about two brothers who have a history and a past. Now they're estranged when they're much older. And they are haunted by their past. The elder brother seems to always try to figure out, and he's having nightmares of being trained in a martial art with a particular blade. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a demon shows up and kills his father who was teaching them. But all out of that he inherited was a blade. That's all it was. Now they migrated to the US. Similar story. But over now, he's got so much nightmares about that. He doesn't want to remember. Now, his younger brother, who he was training with, he's trying to find out, wait a minute, I want to find out about the blade. My memory is so confused about this. So he does this TikTok. Now we're modern here, where it's on the Verge. His name is Verge, and he does his just like we have ghost hunters, right? Paranormal things of going everywhere, trying to search for a similar blade or history or stories of that blade. From that, you start to open up about the stories of how confronting your fears is so important, how the bonds bring us together when we're both trying to find something to heal us. That what's what you think about serve to destroy you in your head actually heals if you start to try to find out what it's going to be. And then the story starts to evolve to where now they are finding some truths to what happened in the past, and now it's unopening and unearthing certain things that are not necessarily pleasant. But what happens then, because they face their fears, they actually meet up with these demonic things that turn out to be not so demonic after all. It's man-made because they confronted their fears. So the story goes. I mean, I was so lucky to get really great artists who truly, truly were able to tell the story in the artwork that they did. And I'm rambling on. I get so excited, I forget. I'm trying to tell the whole story in 1 second here, but I get excited about these things.
But no, that's good because you need passion when you're trying to self promote your comic or whatever you're trying to promote, because that's the hardest part about being an independent creator, whether you're on a show or whether you're creating a comic book. If you don't promote what you're creating, then who's going to know about it? So I
Yeah,
love
that's what I
hearing that.
found out, right? If I don't tell you my story, you won't know because people go, yeah, I read it. Wait a minute, I never knew it was like that. You see, the difference about in my stories saga, why we call Lineage, you see the blade there?
Mm-hmm.
What people don't understand is a story about the brother and the cult that they're involved in and all this self-discovery. But in reality, it's the blade that's telling the story. You see, when I was in Fortune Fire, a lot of bladesmiths, after hammering the ore, trying to form their blade, they'd say, you know what? I'm going to let the steel tell me what it wants to take shape or what it wants to be. And we're laughing like, I have no skill. No, but that resonated with me. Let the steel tell it what wants to be. But as bladesmiths, eventually what they're going to do is they make their blade and they present it to the world. They give it away or they sell it or whatever. I wonder if the blade ever returns and says, hi, Dad, guess what happened? Or Mom, this is what happened. I was used for this. I was used for that, because the blade it tells a story, because everybody, like, a blade can be used for combat in a weapons, right? It can be used to defend yourself. It can be used to destroy, but it also can be used to build, to cut rope, to cut your food and feed you and keep you alive. So it doesn't matter what's on your hands, it's what you do with it. So this blade in particular was a witness, and it's the storyteller. And there's one thing that's unique about it. It's got a mark. But you see, once we finish the 4 issues of this, the blade dies. But what happens is its soul is reincarnated in a different era, a different dimension, and a different story will be told. Hence, every blade has a story to tell.
That's an interesting take on trying to understand legacy and how that evolves. For yourself personally, how has your legacy evolved from teaching martial artists to now creating stories?
It's the one and the same because in the beginning, I took martial arts because I wanted to be a better fighter. I was a troubled kid. It was all testosterone driven. I want to be the tough guy. I want to be always want to fight with my weapons and be that. As you learn, the more you do martial arts, you realize the more you don't ever want to get into violence or the act of it. So it becomes something that you live. How do I live it? When you train with your teacher, your friends, your classmates. You go into a dojo or a classroom that's like your family in your home. You train honor, respect, integrity, these attributes that you do. But what you do is you try to live that. So you get a lot of wisdom from that. And that's what I did. The word "it will kill" that I use on Fortune Fire, it follows my motto when I teach my martial arts. It's not about how many you hurt, it's about how many you protect.
Mm-hmm.
So as I start to be an influencer and I inspire a lot of people in my morning coffees, I bring my martial art wisdom to live a good life, you know. I wanted to transfer these values, these characteristics into storybook telling. That's why Lineage, even though it's about the brothers and everything else, there are attributes there that says, hey, you want to confront your fears. Don't become victims of your own fears, just like in martial arts, right? Learn to confront them, learn to gain confidence from that. There's a camaraderie in having the same kind of passion, just like the brothers had the same passions in training, the same passions in finding out about their past. There is something that they enjoy together,
Yeah.
that they learn to protect together. So that's the same thing with martial arts. There's unity in the things that you do. That's everything else. So a lot of the martial art world, because it is life, is transferred into the comic book as well.
Yeah. For me, I practiced Japanese jiu-jitsu for 15 or so years. So I completely get it. And you train with men, women, no matter the age, no matter their physicality. And yeah, you become a family. When I met my sensei, I was in Nova Scotia. And so learning their history and what drove them to martial arts and what drove them to protect rather than kill was a rather interesting story in itself. But it's just a way of life, and it's not about the technique, but it's your own mentality and how you center yourself in your everyday. And I think that no matter if you're doing martial arts or creating an amazing comic book like Lineage, it's the same thing. Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like food, right? We share each other with the food. It's not about, the destruction of it. It's just like this is so when I do martial arts and I meet other fellow martial artists, it's what we have together. It is what bonds us together. And then we just enjoy the differences and the similarities. But it brings us together rather than separates us. That's when you start to realize martial arts is life. And that's why I'm hoping the comic book brings us all together as well.
Which leads me into the team itself. Who is the team that's working around this comic book? Because unless you're writing, drawing, lettering, and doing everything like that, who did you gather to make this amazing series?
Well, I was lucky enough to get into Kid Heroes because they were comic book writers already, and because my first comic book is very Filipino centric on my culture. I met Patricio Ginelsa, who owns Kid Heroes, but then he brought in two writers who are also Filipino guys who've written before and actually are great voice actors. You got Earl Bailon and Justin Keyson, great writers who helped me because I have my whole storyline as an outline,
Mm-hmm.
but they were able, I don't know how it fits in the comic book world, so they helped me do that. They were able to get my point across in one page, right? Oh, that's great and all that. Then we have Patricia was able to get I never knew in comic books you had a cover artist is different from the artist who's drawing inside, but he was able to get beautiful artwork, which blew me away. But then the artist himself, Felix Morales, I mean, what he did with Felix, I mean, I would tell him something, and he knows so much of our culture that he put a lot of it in there without my asking him. Now, he's not a practitioner of the martial arts. That's the only thing. Oh, but what we did was I trained with my brother, and I showed him the moves. You see, I didn't want to see Superman punch or Spider-Man landing or Hulk Hogan or the
Yeah.
Hulk punch, right? I wanted to see true Filipino moves. So we put in from our bows to our rituals and certain moves that we do in martial arts. I mean, I recorded myself with my brother and I sent it to him so that he would capture the intricacies of the way we move in Filipino martial arts.
Mhm. Was there a piece of artwork you got back that was way better than what you had outlined and what you worked with?
Yes, absolutely. So when we talked in one of the stories here, we talked about a villain,
Mm.
right? This big bad guy. And what he did was he created this big bad guy. And what I saw just threw me away. He actually put in a Carabao mask.
Oh wow.
Okay, so the mask. So when you see that, I mean, it just totally blew me away when I'm looking at that because when you look at that,
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm
yeah.
off frame there. There's a delay. That told me like, wait a minute. He took now the Carabao is a water buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
very known in the Philippines. It's our workhorse per se. It's a water buffalo. But to put a mask on that with the horns to make it demonic looking, but it's just a mask. I'm like, he gets it. He gets what I'm trying to put in here. You see, one of the things is it's the story tells you to when you face your fears, you'll realize reality versus fantasy. These are blurred lines if you leave it up here and you don't want to face it. But when you face it, all of a sudden, oh, it's just a man with a mask.
Hmm.
What happens now? So a lot of the stories of this, the way I wanted to write it is, it's not just about confronting your fears and the cult of and the life of a cultish group that deals with blades and animism and all these things, but also the idea that if you face your fears, you can find out more about yourself inwardly, but also science. You know, there's a lot of superstitions out there that we forget. If you really put it to the test, it makes sense,
Mm.
but we're so afraid to face our fears. So we create all these monsters in our head.
We're our own worst enemies, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want it to be a thriller, a who done it.
Mm.
You see, that's the way you look in the beginning. You think it's this, this, this. Oh, it's this. Wait a minute. Now where are we going? After this, now that the brothers realize that, wait a minute, this guy I thought was a demon in my dreams, and he's just a human being. And the brother goes, wait, there's a blade. We can find out about her past. So issue two now is for them to take the trip to find out more about their past, to unlock the secrets of what's been haunting them.
You have a motto: keep everyone alive.
Yes.
That in itself kind of redefines strength through compassion. How?
It does. Thank you for knowing that. It will kill. Now, remember, when I was in Force and Fire, because of my military training, we had a kill test, right, in the kill house. So
Mhm.
carcasses. Now, when we did the show, they had that particular, because weapons to cut up meat and carcasses and everything else. So we called it the kill test. And if it's a pass or fail, I will say it will kill. But then the first season, I got so excited cutting something. It felt so good. I go to kill, and it stuck. And my accent came out.
Mm.
So I tried to hide it. Next time I said it will kill you, but people remembered that. And it wasn't until the third season that I actually realized this is a family show.
Mm.
A lot of people watch it with their families and kids. I cannot glorify the kill. So I changed it to kill, sounding like that, K-E-A-L, which means it will keep everyone alive. It's a more responsible way of, saying the word.
And it's easier on subtitles too. So
Yeah.
you won't get flagged
Oh,
on
I was
YouTube.
shocked when I started saying, "Oh my God!" They started actually spelling it
Oh.
K-E-A-L, which surprised me. Like, look, guys, I know how to spell kill, but I'll go with that. So finally, when they started putting that on the subtitles, because it's all over the world, right?
Sure.
We've done 10 seasons over 11 years of filming this, and it's in different languages. But when they put the English subtitles, I watch and they go, "No, they've changed that too."
Follow-up part of that question was, how does that belief echo within the morality of Lineage?
The way it's connected, because it's part of my background, there's a right and wrong thing here, right? That we're trying to face. One of the brothers wants to maintain that, where one falls into the dark side,
Mm.
and he's trying to save his brother. But there is always a right or wrong. But then you'll also have to start to realize just because we think it's wrong in our eyes The minute you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you might say, "Oh, now I get it. I probably do the same." People don't get that, and that's one of the things. My first time in San Diego was in San Diego Comic Con when we released the idea of this. I saw cosplay face to face. I was shocked. Number one, the passion involved in people creating their own costumes and wanting to tell their story. When we were there, it was sunny and hot in the,
Yeah.
like 80 degrees, and they're wearing this leather suit all day. That means they really love wearing this, and they're so proud to share it. So that is part of what I'm looking at to transform and talk about that part in the rest of the Lineage book one of Brotherhood of the Blade because they're wearing a mask. So what is the cult of cosplay? I delved into the psychology of this, and we transformed and put it in for issue two, rather issue three, where we really talk about the cult. Because I am familiar of the cult, a lot of cults of the blade. It's all about destruction and everything else. But in a world of superstition and everything else, it was only linked to that. But then I go, no, because there is the wearing of the mask. How does that transform one person?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to be talking about in the series.
With the Kickstarter campaign that's currently ongoing, I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. So if you've never done a Kickstarter campaign before, it is a very long process for 30 days. Or for you to stay energized, and you're a very energetic person, which I find wonderful. How are you going to maintain your energy throughout this entire process while you're trying to not only promote this, but also get backers?
One thing, I share myself. I share my ideas, my following, my followers know what I'm all about. I'm a knife designer. I've designed for K.E.A.L, for Fox Knives Italy, so many blades around. What I do with this also is I created the idea of having a real karambit. So this is the Marcado that stars and is part of Lineage, the first one. Now, every blade has a story to tell. I am also introducing another design of mine. This guy is making an appearance in issue two. That's being wielded by part of the cult. This is my Kali Hawk, right? And it's a design that is going to be used by special forces, and it's all based on function and the way, and it's also very much inspired by an episode we did on Forge and Fire that really, really performed. That's part of it. So these things that I'm trying to share with people is not only if you back us up, will you get the Marcado, that's a functional karambit. You're gonna get also the replica of a shiny aluminum version. There is a tactical version. So I'm bringing the knife world into the comic book world. But that if they don't really like the knives, we got the pendants that we also do because and who doesn't need something to cut open boxes with your teeth? Not a good idea. Have something to use for that, right?
Right.
And of course the trainers. So I will be teaching this in seminars again. So part of backing the second one is I don't ask for anything that I can't give back to you. Most of them would just back up my stories and everything else and thank you. No, you get this, you get a part of me. You'll get these other items too. Because I want you to be part of this, part of my story. And it's gonna grow. We're gonna create a community or that people will come in and go, as you become fans of this, let's see where we go with this.
Nice.
I want you to be involved. I don't want you to just be a reader. I don't understand the comic book world as much because growing up in the Philippines, I couldn't afford a comic book.
Sure.
I watched comic books through my friends who had them. Now they were able to buy issues back to back and everything else. I would just jump in and look at the artwork, right? And then who knows when I'll ever see one again.
Sure.
Now, much older, I can afford to be part of this. I'm starting to appreciate what's involved in this. But I didn't realize, oh, they're all connected. There's a series of comic books here. Well, then let's create that community. But I want everyone to be involved. It's not just looking at this, but actually owning and being a part of it. Now it's meaningful. You know, my journeys in creating stories is that it's got to make sense. You have to be able to understand what it is I'm talking about. So be part of it.
Because you've had so many different careers and such a wonderful life so far, and I'm sure it's going to be wonderful in the future as well too. When you were outlining this and when you were working with such an amazing team here, what did Lineage reveal about yourself as a person?
That I am overly passionate and I can never say no to myself. I keep on running and running and running and running. This was originally meant to be a TV show. When I
Okay.
was filming Fortune Fire, I was talking to a producer and we came up with this idea. I was telling him about Fortune. Well, because I was saying, you know what? We see so many weapons. Every blade has a story to tell, and we did that. Well, unfortunately, when COVID hit and everything else, that producer left the show and he's doing a different career field now. Then I said, well, you know what? I don't want to miss this opportunity. Let's put it in print.
Mm.
But what has this told me about myself? If I can inspire people, because I've been inspiring people through my martial arts, I've been inspiring them through my more motivational talks, I've been inspiring them through my designs and learning how to use it with responsibility
Mhm.
and doing it in the right way. Like, this is all art form. Unless you're in the military, law enforcement is a different use. Let's enjoy that art form. This is my passion. And now I get to tell a story. Let's talk about all this. It's one thing where I can talk about it on social media. It's another thing when I leave a piece of myself in print. And that to me is meaningful, right? That somehow, some way, my words will remain there in print and people can enjoy it and see what we've come up with.
When you were writing this, though, did the stories push you emotionally more than you expected?
Oh, I couldn't stop dreaming about them. Because it's a story that I like. It's so should this person be this way? And sometimes it would drive me crazy
Mhm.
because visually in my head, I would see the action. It's so different, right? Nothing beats your imagination.
Yeah.
But in the excitement and emotional things, it's got to make sense. It's got to make sense. So that's where the writers, where Earl and Justin, helped me make sense. Oh, all of a sudden, wow, oh, that's so convenient that happened. That really doesn't happen in real life. I'm like, you're right. So how help me be able to make it plausible? Help me make it make sense, not just so that I'm a story person.
Mm.
So action is great. There's so many action movies out there where the story sucked, so it just ruined the whole movie for me because I'm a movie buff.
Yeah.
But when there's a story and it will that can happen. Oh, I see how that happens. I'm moved along with it. It's very meaningful. And the
Uh,
same thing with comic books now.
is there a comic book or a series that you've now that you have adult money you've picked up and you started reading through and like, oh yeah, this is something I've always wanted to read?
Not just, well, okay. Well, unfortunately, I'd say because I'm a movie buff, more of
Sure. Yeah.
the movies that have been patterned from comic books in the comic series. I just started this. It's only been a year that I've been doing this, but I've started to pick up. And usually, I want to look for ones that are on the movies already, so I can compare.
Okay. I know Highlander is getting a remake after 40 some odd years. I'm really looking forward to that because that's what kind of got me into martial arts. So I was like, okay, I'm not immortal, but this looked cool. So
But the passion and the stories, exactly the same thing. That it's it to say that that has not inspired what I'm talking about. I told you that this blade will
yeah,
be jumping in different eras, different dimensions. It's the same thing like in Highlander, going through the different time periods. So that's a part of the inspiration for writing this.
because we're having like 4 issues or however many you're going to do in this particular series, and you've mentioned previously that the blade jumps from decade to decade, century to century. Like, how many blades are we going to actually see in this series? Because I'm a sword aficionado or a knife aficionado as well too. So I'm excited. Like lay it on me.
In this first series, Brotherhood of the Blade, I'm introducing 4 different blade designs of mine. Today, you get to see it right here. You have the Marcado, the marked one, and you will see the Colliehawk being wielded by one of the within the cult in the battles that they're going to be having. You will also be seeing my battle spear, which is a barong Filipino barong blade. Nothing wrong with the barong. I've got a pendant of that. I don't have it here to show. And of course, the battle bolt. So those blades will be making appearances in this comic series because they're all being released this year, anyways. So I said, let them. You think I don't hear this in my brain saying, I want to be part of the movie. Make sure I'm going to be part of that comic series, okay? Yes, sir. Yeah, I do have conversations because they're my babies. How can I not talk to them?
Exactly. You know, you're putting your soul into them as you're making them, so they might as well speak to you.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, even a lot of comic creators that I've spoken to over the decades have said my characters speak to me and I just write what they say. So it's the exact same thing.
I spoke to Felix, who's the artist, and he showed me all the artwork, but I go, Felix, can I ask you a question? You're drawing your artwork. I see the finished product, but I'm not satisfied. Can you satisfy me? What do you mean by that? Do you have the copies of the earlier renditions of your sketch? I go, yeah. Good. Tell me what you see. And boy, I thought record it for me. But so as he's drawing, so here are the brothers, right? And I'm drawing the brothers. And what happens? He attacks. They go, attack you and everything. And all of a sudden, the guy from go, I am the guy from behind and everything else. And he goes, running. So the sound effects was just, I was so entertained by that, to see what's in the head and to know that even in the drawing, bang, cut, splash, and a whoosh and spatoon, and then this guy jumps in. All that was so that's what I want to see, because that's what's in my head when I'm writing the stories, and that's what's in their head when they're actually putting it in print. It was amazing. It was amazing. So I'm saying, you people, if you ever get a chance, and artists out there, the artists, when you're drawing, record yourself and let us hear you record and record what you're drawing. Let us be part of that journey, because that's what I do. I'll talk about the story of how I designed this and where it came from and how it's supposed to function in different ways. It's not just a crown, but this way. It can be held like a claw, inward claw as this, all that. So when I'm writing the stories, because every blade has a story to tell, every pencil has a story to tell.
My catchphrase for the past 18 years is everyone has a story to tell as well. So, we're on that same wavelength. I love it. That's
awesome.
Great here. Last 5 questions I have are my introspective questions I ask all of my guests when it comes to this show. They were 5 questions I was going to ask Stan Lee. I never got that chance. So I asked creative and talented people like yourself these same 5 questions. Eventually, I'm going to put this into a documentary. I have like 15 years of content to sift through.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, you got to share that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Everyone has one person that inspired them on their path to where they are today. Who was that for you?
Jesus Christ, my Savior. Every day in the morning, I wake up in the morning and I say, thank you very much. Everything that I experience in this world is put in front of me to experience. And as long as these are all mortal problems, mortal excitement, mortal all that. And so that every time I face something where it's just too much, sometimes a tragedy and everything else, when I see myself not as a mortal, but a spiritual being with a soul and God, I trust him and I'm good to go.
From a professional standpoint, you have done so much in your career, from the entertainment industry to Forged in Fire to now creating an amazing comic series with Lineage. So from a professional standpoint, you are a success. Do you consider yourself personally successful?
Interesting. Financially, I'm not a success there. If I were to gauge myself financially as a success, but yes, in terms of accomplishing a lot of things in my lifetime, I'm successful in that, because I've had the support of my family in order to do all this. In my martial arts, I was never with them. I was away doing seminars, doing this. When I'm doing stuff like this, they're not with me. So it's a gift from them to say, we give you this gift of not being around us, so you better enjoy what you're doing. Otherwise, we'll take it back and you're not allowed to do that. You stay home with us. So having that is a successful thing, that I had successful support. In terms of, I've had the luxury of having, exposure in media. So that is a success, that people want to listen to me. They want to hear my stories. And who else doesn't want that kind of validation? Even in my designs and everything, so I get to do that. So yes, I would say I am successful, because I could pass any day, and, time, you don't know, your time is limited. You never know when you're going to go. But I'll be happy to say, yeah, I lived a good life and I've been able to give back. And with that, and finding my creator and saying thank you, I've got nothing to complain about. So yes, I would say I am a success in that term.
The reverse of success is failure. How do you deal with your failures?
Interesting. So my failures are just there to make me stronger. They're not failures, they're lessons. Even if they hurt. That's why as a father, when I try to shield my sons or my students or my followers from saying, no, I don't want you to do that, learn from my mistakes and everything else, I go, well, Doug, how did you learn your mistakes? The hard way. I had to go through them, and I lived through them. And that's why I'm stronger for it. We're all survivors. So they are not failures. They are things that God put in front of me so that I know that I can go through it. And it's not about what happened, it's why I reacted the way I did. That's what I always ponder on. Why did I react that way instead of this? What did I learn from that? And if you always look at it as lessons, they're never failures. I thank the very people I would think as my enemies because they motivated me. I thank all the tragedies because they made me stronger. So in the beginning, when you're going through it, you hate and you ask why, but when you realize you're a mortal being, you're gonna die. I am in my late stages of my well, last stage of my last quarter of my life. I'm ready. So don't worry about it. What's better now is moving forward with your immortal soul. What you gonna do about that? And does your mortal life match your immortal when the time comes? So if you always stick on this, you're stuck on this, you will never be satisfied because you're stuck with mortal and worldly problems. But if you know it's just whatever's happening temporarily, that this is more important, then you're free from that.
The younger generation is looking at your work and they're becoming inspired but creative in their own way. And the fact that you have the younger generation with your sons is a wonderful accomplishment. And I'm sure they're inspired to be creative in some way, shape, or form. How can they inspire the generation that follows them?
Basically, realizing that everything is a cycle. This is the last stage of my life. So everybody keeps on living as long as they have a purpose. Well, my next and last purpose is leave behind what made you shine. Whatever it is, whatever I've people guard their secrets. Guard it for what? You can't take it with you. I am doing a seminar series. Oh, by the way, which are going to be these two are part of that seminar series. It's called Karambit Unleashed, and this is nothing more than a karambit on a stick, right? It is a legacy seminar series, meaning what? We are leaving everything behind. My peer with me is one of my idols also in what we were doing, and I told him, hey, we need to start leaving behind what made us shine. It's not leaving it for the next for this generation. And I told him this: let's do this seminar series for those that aren't even born. Meaning everything's going to be recorded. We're uploading it on a website. It's for everyone else. And when we're gone, hopefully somebody will jump in and continue the legacy. So when we talk about inspiring the next generation, remember your life here is very temporary. What are you doing to let everybody know I was here, but this is how I made it a better place when I leave it? That's how you continue on.
That's good. I really enjoyed that answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
If your life was a comic book, what would its title be? And what would its soundtrack be?
Ah, if my life was a comic book, interesting title. Hmm, Lineage. That's cheating, right? No, I would say, oh, okay, me, myself, and I, and the rest of us in my head. And the title would be, I don't know, some really loud classical music that's going loud in the head. Simply because there are so many versions of me, so many hats that I've worn. If people could only see through my eyes all the different things, I sometimes realize I'm a chameleon, or I am this, I'm that, and this, and it's my ADHD, it's my OCD, and we're all in here, but I accept that. That's who I am, and it's okay to be that way. I don't need to change for anyone. I learn to accept who I am and have fun with them and all the voices and the characters and all things. This is what God created for me. So how can I try to change anything that He left for me? And that's really it. Me, myself, and I.
That's good. I love it. Well, Doug, I do hate to say it, but that ends this particular episode of Two Geeks Talking. I want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much, Kurt. I truly enjoy this too.
For those that want to support you, this campaign, and anything else you'd like to promote, where can we find you on this wide world of the internet?
On the internet, well, I'm on Facebook under Doug Marcaida, TikTok under Doug Marcaida, Instagram under Doug Marcaida, and kidheroes.es is the website where we're going to be launching our Kickstarter. Be part of that and get all these other versions of the ones who's telling the story to be part of whatever you do. If you support us, we want to support you too, and also get to be part of this whole adventure that we have.
Well, like I said, that ends this particular episode of Two Geeks Talking. Of course, find this interview and 1,200 plus others on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TGT Media. The podcast, search Two Geeks Talking. That's TWO Geeks Talking, wherever you get your podcasts. And as I say every week, everyone has a story to tell. It's up to me to help bring that out. Thanks for listening and watching on Two Geeks Talking.